So, Techland just showed the final Dying Light 2 trailer before the game's release in February, and there were a few things we hadn't seen before, but one massive name drop. If you haven't seen the trailer, then head over to the Dying Light YouTube channel and check it out. If you have, let's talk about it. Okay, so much of the new trailer wasn't new at all, as there were a lot of recycled clips we've already seen in previous trailers. But let's have a look at the stuff that's different. The opening sequence where Aiden makes Steve drive into the Renegades base was last seen way back in 2019, and this is the first time we've seen the updated version. It does look pretty much the same, except of course more detailed, but the conversation between Steve and the base has been rewritten slightly, and there's a different voice actor who's threatening Steve about forgetting the code this time. Here's the 2019 version.
Just don't screw up the code, and someone will finally get to shoot you.
Guys, I love you.
And here's the new one.
Don't screw up the password again. This time, we'll blow your head off.
Sweet, love you too.
The final version's a bit shorter, but definitely better in my opinion. Also, the approach to the entrance of the Renegade base has been slightly updated. They've removed the mannequin that was there before and the city scarecrow with the Peacekeeper armour in favour of a more minimal look. The next person we see in the trailer is the Colonel talking briefly, and his voice sounds much deeper in this one than it did in the original.
Rainer said you were a pilgrim.
None of your business.
Where's Frank?
Well, he's dead.
But in contrast, when we hear Juan speaking, it's much less gruff than it was before.
Where's the big guy? Is he late? Or is he just a dick?
Matt's upstairs.
You think your barking will make an impression on me?
That drawl still seems to be there to a degree, so if these are the same voice actors, then they've definitely changed their approach to these characters in the last few years since this original video. Another really noticeable difference is where Aiden meets Frank in the bar. In the original 2019 video, they're in this kind of corridor and you can see a weapons deposit behind them. But in the new one, there's no weapons deposit, the corridor's gone, and it's basically just the bar. The scene where Aiden's walking through the bar though and the character waves at him is pretty much identical, except that character does look very different. The stage is also different, but Lola does look pretty much the same. She's wearing the same outfit at least. The next thing we see in the trailer is Aiden's flashbacks of when he and Mia were kids. He mentions how Waltz hurt her and that he took her from him. So we know Waltz is a person and that he's a he now. We then get this clip of a woman turning towards the camera. Now I would say that the way this clip directly followed the flashback and the reference to Waltz, that this must be an older Mia. Which I have to say I'm surprised at. I mean, surely the question of whether she was still alive or not was part of the mystery. Well, not anymore because they've gone and spoiled it in their own trailer. I kind of wish they hadn't done that, to be honest. Then we get a major name drop and a massive link to the first Dying Light when you hear this.
I wish Crane could have seen this.
That's right, a voice saying, I wish Crane could have seen this.
I wish Crane could have seen this.
The voice sounded a bit like Matt, but it could have been somebody from the original game. I know they've already said that nobody from the first game is going to be in the sequel, but they could have been fibbing just to throw us off the scent. The voice was clearly speaking of Crane in the past tense, so it seems that he's dead now in Dying Light 2, but I think that this proves once and for all that the following ending isn't canon now. The other question it raises though is how can somebody who knew Crane be in Villador? Villador is supposedly based in a European country and Haran was based on a Turkish city, so could it be that in this fictional world, these two places are closer to each other than they are in our world? I mean, I've mentioned before that the horizon from this shot of the electrical substation does look a lot like Haran, so for Crane to be mentioned here and the fact that travel would surely be more difficult now, I think it's a fair assumption that they may actually be neighbouring cities in the world of Dying Light. But I suppose he could have just found a chopper and flown over. What do you think? Then we see Crane trying to throttle a character whilst accusing him of torturing him and hurting Mia. So this must surely be Waltz, right? I know in the past we've seen characters asking Crane where Waltz is, but Aiden has already said earlier in this trailer that he hurt Mia. So although they know each other, I'd imagine they're not friends. If you look closely then, you can see a bite mark on his arm and he seems to be covered in angry looking blue veins. The one on his forehead in particular seems to be glowing. If this is the guy that hurt them, then it could be that he's now some kind of monster, having taken a potential cure developed from experimenting on them when they were kids. I don't know, clutching at straws maybe, but I think something's wrong with this guy. So there's a couple of potential spoilers in this trailer, but to be honest, more questions than answers really. Not least, how this paraglider frame fits in this little pack, and how it's attached to Luan. This is the first close-up shot we've seen of it from this angle, and it appears to have some kind of tubular frame and a handle on one side, and I can't see a backpack or any other explanation as to how this thing is supporting her weight. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved using the paraglider when I got to play the demo last year. It's a really great feature. But this does look a bit silly, if I'm honest. Did this little detail bother you, or is it just one of those things we should accept and never mention? So, what did you think of the new trailer? Did I miss anything? Are you excited now that we're so close to actually getting our hands on Dying Light 2? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.